Can a co-parenting app help you with co-parenting? Hi, I'm Alicia Kinchlow, a family law attorney based out of the Philadelphia area and the owner of Kinchlow Law. So, about a year or so ago, I interviewed someone from a co-parenting app called Our Family Wizard. And Our Family Wizard is an app that allows parents or parties to communicate with each other about their child or children. And sometimes that can be a very effective way for people to communicate because, as we know, custody situations, especially when you're in the midst of the custody litigation, can be quite contentious. And at times, people want to be able to use information that is exchanged between the parties, like telephone calls, voicemails, text messages, and emails in court. Now, Our Family Wizard is an app that allows, again, parties to communicate back and forth, but it allows a lot of other functions. So, in addition to chat or email type functions where you can communicate about a particular subject, you can also record things like your children's clothing sizes. You can put in appointments. You can do a request for custody swaps. So, if this is normally my weekend and something's coming up and I have to work and I want to switch weekends with you, I can make a request on there, and the other party is able to see that and either approve or disapprove my request for a schedule change in the app. And then also other things like pictures, can be uploaded along with other documents. For example, medical records, things of that nature. But what's also helpful that I've found, and why a lot of courts sometimes suggest that parties use an app like Our Family Wizard, is that it allows for the information to be downloaded very easily for court and can actually be submitted as evidence for court. So it's important that you understand that something like this could be used against you. And often it's a way for the court to make sure that the parties are communicating. One of the features that I like about Our Family Wizard is that it shows when a message was read and whether or not it has actually been read. So sometimes a party may communicate with the other person and they never read the messages, or they only read them right before they come to court. So then the app shows when it was initially read, and then of course there's a timestamp of when there's a response. Another thing, and I think this is probably the feature that I like the best out of Our Family Wizard, is the flag feature. So a tone meter. So what that is that for I think an extra $10 with your subscription, you can turn on a tone meter, and the tone meter alerts you as to when a message that you're sending might be sarcastic, might be derogatory. So there might be some type of cursing, name calling, something like that in a message, and it kind of sends a little flag like, "Hey, are you sure you really want to send that type of message?" And I like that because sometimes, one, we don't want to do that, but two, sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it, especially when we're talking maybe sarcastically or something of that nature. We might not even realize that it's happening. And that can affect the way that we actually communicate and how effective our communication is. So that little tone meter, I think, is probably worth its weight in gold in helping parties to have more effective communication. So that's a feature that I really like, and I tell my clients that if they can spring it, again, it's usually I think it's just an extra $10. It's extremely helpful, just to make sure that things are kind of going back and flowing back and forth in a way that is good. Another thing that the app allows is that it really provides a mechanism for the parties to ensure that communication is going back and forth. Sometimes we might miss emails. Sometimes we might miss text messages. Sometimes people are blocking people or they're on do not disturb. Again, this way the communications theoretically will not get lost as long as the other party is actually looking at Our Family Wizard or have the notifications turned on. But there are other types of apps. Our Family Wizard is not the only co-parenting app out there. Feel free to explore other applications, talk with your other party, and discuss what is, I think, most cost effective for you, which has the features that work best for you. Talk to your attorney about whether it's in your best interest to even use this type of application. If there's a protection from abuse order that's in place between the parties, it's important for you to understand what the guidelines or what the actual order states is allowable communication. Some protection from abuse orders will allow communication between the parties when it's to discuss custody issues regarding children. Some don't allow it at all, even those situations. So you want to make sure you speak with your attorney about the facts specific to your case before you embark on anything like this. But it could be a really helpful way for parties to be able to communicate with each other. Another feature of our Family Wizard is that there's a ability for an attorney to be able to see the communications without actually participating in a communication. So for some of my clients who have our Family Wizard and the litigation is still ongoing, they can add me as a professional, and I have the ability to view messages that are inside of our Family Wizard. And that helps me to be able to download those documents for court without without the party having to go in and do it themselves. I can kind of get an idea of what's going on back and forth and communicate with my client about that. And the other party would get an alert, is my understanding. The other party gets an alert that I do have the capability to see the communications between the parties. And they have the ability to add their professional, their attorney as well, if they so choose to do so. So it's important for you to understand what the rules are with the application, understand what you're able to do. A lot of the times, I think with all the things that we probably do, we don't understand how many features actually come with the application. And then a lot of these things are updating often and expanding what they actually offer. But if you're having trouble communicating, consider whether or not a co-parenting app is a good fix for you in your situation. Again, it can help streamline things when you're communicating between two households. I know sometimes with my children growing up, it's hard for us to remember, hey, did you do this? Did you do that? The kids have an appointment here. Um, this kid's shoe size is now this size from, different from last week or last month. And it's a good place to kind of store this information when the child is going back and forth between two homes. All right, so if you use a co-parenting app, if you use our Family Wizard, if you use some other app, let me know in the show notes. I'm always interested in hearing what is working for other people. I'm also going to put a link in this show note to the podcast episode I did with a person from our Family Wizard that talked about some of the features that our Family Wizard had at the time. So you can check that episode out, hear a little bit more about them. They are not endorsing us, and we are not directly endorsing them either. But it is something that I found that the courts in Montgomery County, Delaware County, and Philadelphia County have been known to use along with other types of co-parenting apps. All right, I hope you found this episode helpful. As always, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the little bell so you get notifications whenever we drop a new episode, because we are doing one every day of 2021 on custody, divorce, or support. All right, until next time, take care.